Good afternoon. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a regular meeting on June 18, 2024, at 5 p.m. at the City Commission Chambers located on the second floor of City Hall, Old Federal Building, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas, 78520. Members of the public who submitted a public comment form will be permitted to offer public comments as provided by the agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting. A recording of the meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. Mayor, it is now 5:03 p.m. Would you like to call the meeting to order?
Thank you, Marina. Being that we do have a quorum present, I'd like to call this evening's meeting to order. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is invocation, which will be done by Pastor Brad Burks, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's stand for the pledge, for the prayer, and remain standing for the pledge afterwards. Let's pray. Father God, once again, we thank you for the many blessings we have here in the city of Brownsville. When we watch the news of what's happening around the world, we realize just how blessed we are here. And Lord, we thank you for the rain that is on its way. We ask you to give us the rain we need in the amount that will not damage. Most of all, Lord, we ask you to bring us back to you as a nation, starting with us in this room. Lord, lead and guide our city staff and every department head and everyone that has anything to do with the city of Brownsville for the very best for the city. Lead and guide this meeting tonight, our mayor and commissioners and everyone who's presenting anything, again, for the best for the city of Brownsville. We thank you for all of these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. And please, let's have a short moment of silence where we can add all of our prayers to what has already been spoken. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Next item, proclamations. Proclamation recognizing the bravery and efforts of the Brownsville police officers.
It is an honor to read today's proclamation, a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing officers Jessica Cardenas, Carlos Castillo, and Alberto Butereida. Whereas on December 26, 2023, Officer Jessica Cardenas arrived at the Brownsville City Jail with a female arrestee. Upon evaluating the female's welfare, she was found to be unresponsive and not breathing. Without hesitation, Officer Cardenas removed the female from the back seat and positioned her on the floor, administering CPR, life-saving measures until the female began to start breathing, where she was transported to the hospital in stable condition. And whereas on March 13th, 2024, Officer Carlos Castillo responded to a medical emergency at a local restaurant where an unresponsive female suffered a cardiac arrest, Officer Castillo immediately took over the scene, providing life-saving measures until emergency medical responders arrived. And whereas on April 12, 2024, Officer Alberto Butereida responded to the 1200 block of Expressway 77 in reference to a welfare concern of a young female who was sitting down on the shoulder of the expressway and appeared to be despondent. Officer Butereida caught up with the teen right as she went over the ledge of the 25-foot overpass, grabbing her and pulling her to safety. Officer Butereida's quick response clearly saved the adolescent's life. And whereas the swift and decision action of these officers underscores their dedication to the city of Brownsville and highlights their exceptional ability to take immediate life-saving action in urgent situations, and is a testament to the courage and dedication that defines the best of our city, Brownsville police officers. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, and on behalf of all our citizens, do hereby recognize Officers Jessica Cardenas, Carlos Castillo, and Alberto Butereida for their exceptional performance in the line of duty, done on this, the 18th day of June, 2024.
I just want to thank the chief of our department, the administration. Thank you guys, the commission, mayor, and my family for their support. It's a great privilege to be here and an honor to work with the Brownsville Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Proclamation recognizing Border Workers United.
This is a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing the Border Workers United. Whereas on June 16th, 2011, the International Labor Organization adopted a landmark treaty convention of domestic workers. And whereas an estimated 69 million domestic workers worldwide lack a significant contribution to the global economic importance of the work. And whereas domestic workers who maintain hygienic environments with households have been at the forefront of serving families one household at a time. And whereas lack of recognition as workers and multiple exploitations due to class, gender, race, and migrant status have exacerbated their vulnerabilities. And whereas the International Labor Organization will be celebrating the 11th anniversary of the convention number 189 by publishing a new report on the situation of decent work for domestic workers. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of said city, and on behalf of all our citizens, do hereby recognize the Border Workers United, done on this, the 18th day of 2024.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Silvia Black, soy parte de la mesa directiva de Border Workers United. Así que en esta tarde, estimado mayor y comisionados de la ciudad, en nombre de todas las trabajadoras del hogar, quiero expresar nuestro más profundo agradecimiento por esta proclamación que reconoce y valora nuestro trabajo. Este acto simbólico representa un paso importante hacia el reconocimiento de nuestra labor y el impacto positivo que tiene en la vida de tantas familias y en la comunidad en general. Las trabajadoras del hogar desempeñamos un papel crucial en el cuidado y mantenimiento de los hogares, permitiendo que otras personas puedan realizar sus actividades con tranquilidad, sabiendo que sus seres queridos y sus hogares están en buenas manos. Sin embargo, muchas veces nuestro trabajo ha sido invisibilizado y subvalorado. Esta proclamación es más que un simple reconocimiento, es un mensaje poderoso de que nuestras contribuciones son esenciales y dignas de respeto. Nos sentimos honradas de recibir este reconocimiento oficial y nos motiva a seguir trabajando con dedicación y orgullo. Agradecemos al mayor y a los comisionados por su apoyo y por dar visibilidad a nuestra profesión. Este gesto nos inspira a seguir adelante en nuestra lucha por mejores condiciones laborales y por el respeto que merecemos. Gracias por escuchar nuestras voces y por valorar nuestro trabajo. Juntos estamos construyendo una comunidad más justa y equitativa. Con gratitud en nombre de todas las trabajadoras de nuestra ciudad y las que representamos Border Workers United, gracias.
Next item is public comment period. As a reminder for public comment period, Section 2-26, meetings and agendas. Public input during meetings, conduct. Conversations between or among audience members should be conducted outside the meeting room. Attendees should refrain from conversations while commission is in session. Cell phones, attendees must refrain from the operation and use of cellular telephones, pagers, etc., or any mechanical devices that may disrupt city commission proceedings. Placards, banners, or signs are not to be permitted in the commission chambers or in any other room in which the city commission conducts a meeting. Included in this prohibition are various hats, caps, visors, and T-shirts, which may represent sentiments as alluded to regarding placards, banners, and/or signs. Exhibits, displays, and visual aids used in connection with presentations to the city commission are permitted. Only city commission members and city staff may approach the dais. If report, letter, etc. is to be presented to the commission, it should be given to the city secretary or staff who will make the distribution. It is preferable that the item to be distributed be given to the city secretary prior to meeting time. A copy of the item should be made available for the city secretary's official record. All comments shall be made to the mayor and city commission as a whole and not to individual commission members. Mayor and commissioners, tonight we do have four public comments. One of them wishes not to address the mayor and commission tonight, but does like to register his comments. So the first one that we have is Sean Ayers.
Welcome, Mr. Ayers. Please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
How you doing? My name is Sean Ayers, Brownsville. I came here Tuesday to address the chief of police not calling me back on how he institutes procedural, reasonable, articulate suspicion training into the officers, which I've still yet to receive an answer. Meanwhile, tyrannical Officer Pascal asked me if I have any weapons or ID on me like it's any of his business, then says, bring another unit to try to intimidate me. These are the tyrants in charge that teach the next generation that the Fourth Amendment doesn't exist and that this kind of tyranny is okay. Rights do not exist. Tyrants like him prove the tree of liberty as withered. I'm trying to protect everybody's rights in here for illegal ID checks so the police cannot ID you for no reason. Your grandma, niece, daughter, whoever. And I want town council to look into just how the Brownsville PD implements reasonable, articulate suspicion laws into training. Men like Officer Pascal should not be empowered. They just make it okay for the next ones to do it. The law of the land is the Constitution. I'm also asking for his resignation for his breach of it. Law without order is a greater threat to the public than order without law. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Yolanda Spies.
Welcome, Mrs. Spies. Please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Yolanda Spies, ha pasado más de un año desde que les pedí que hicieran algo respecto a la policía y la administración de esta ciudad. Me ha costado mucho dinero, tiempo y esfuerzo. ¿Para qué les miento? Es muy frustrante. Sé que no soy la única persona que ha pasado por esto. He visto a otros con el mismo problema. Navegar este sistema es un laberinto y encontrar una solución parece imposible. Durante este año, otras personas también han tenido experiencias difíciles con la policía y la administración, ya sea por falta de empatía, profesionalismo o el conocimiento de la ley, el simple hecho de conocer la ley. ¿Qué es lo que falla? Es obvio que la policía y la administración nos están fallando. Sus sonrisas, por más amables y muy bonitas, no servirán de nada si no resuelven estos problemas para los residentes de Brownsville. Hay un problema grave y serio que debe ser resuelto. Algunos oficiales no solo carecen del profesionalismo, sino también la ética, la empatía y el deseo de servir y proteger a nuestra ciudad. Si se trata de servir y proteger según la ley, la ignorancia, y hay mucha ignorancia, es lo que predomina entre nuestros oficiales. Y no se siente como si nos estuvieran protegiendo ni sirviendo.
Next, Diablo Velez.
Welcome, Mr. Velez. Please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. My name is Diablo Velez. I am a homeless and I ask people for money. It's a way of living and I choose that life. However, there is a city ordinance that prohibits to ask the public for money. Even though many towns inherit this ordinance from the past, nonetheless, in America, 21st century America, progressive and revisionist, such a barbarians and criminal laws shouldn't exist. They create division between the public, the poor, and the hungry by excluding the poor from sharing the social wealth, advancement, mobility. They create prejudice. They are racist. They discriminate by personality, by behavior, by way of living, even by hygiene. Let me tell you something. The Hebrews, if you know who they are, they tell us to stay poor because according to the Bible, you know the Bible, we're going to inherit the earth. But you know there's a bunch of lies. While they become rich and billionaires. Politicians like you guys, they do the same thing. They tell the public by the rule of the law not to give money to the poor and to the hungry. Let me repeat this again. Politicians like you guys, you tell the public by the rule of the law not to give money to the poor and to the hungry. While you guys, you got public money. You got taxpayers' money. That's how you got paid. You buy toys for your children. You buy gifts for your wife and your husband. You put food on the table. If you tells me that I'm a full of shit for what I'm saying, then you are not sensitive to the poor and to the hungry. I have a proposal. I have an amendment to the ordinance that prohibit to ask the public for money. And I have a new model, a resolution.
Time.
Thank you, Mr. Velez.
Next, work sessions. Work session on short-term rentals, Convention and Visitors Bureau, City Attorney's Office.
Good afternoon, Mayor Cowan and Commissioners. I am Daphne Maldonado, Director of the Brownsville Convention and Visitors Bureau and Office of Space Commerce. As Brownsville continues to grow, so does our opportunity to reinvest in our beautiful city. Our city has become a popular destination known for its rich history, bird watching, rocket launches, beautiful beaches, lively nightlife, and vibrant scene. Consequently, Brownsville has become a hotspot for short-term rentals, often referred to as Airbnbs. As more property owners seek to capitalize on this trend, understanding the regulatory landscape becomes crucial. Short-term rentals, including those listed on platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, Expedia, and many other listing sites, play a significant role in Brownsville's tourism-driven economy. They offer visitors a variety of lodging options and provide homeowners with an opportunity to generate income. However, to maintain a balance between the interests of property owners, renters, and the local community, we need to implement significant regulations that govern these rentals. As you can see on this graph, each year we collect a bit more in hotel and motel occupancy tax, also known as hot tax. As we approach the end of fiscal year 2024, we project collecting about 2 million. Again, this is only for hotels and motels. So why do we want to collect from the short-term rentals? Well, we estimate that there are around 500 short-term rentals in Brownsville. The state currently collects 6% of hot tax, and we are missing out on an additional 7% that our municipality is allowed to collect as per the Texas tax code. This means we are missing out on anywhere from $500,000 to $2 million every year in short-term rentals. I have consulted with our neighboring cities of South Padre Island, Harlingen, San Antonio, and Corpus Christi, all of which are collecting their allowed hot tax and reinvesting it into tourism, concerts, festival, advertising opportunities in Mexico and Canada, and much more. An added benefit of collecting hot from short-term rentals is the ability to capture data on tourism out of hotels. To successfully collect on short-term rentals, we need to take the appropriate measures, such as creating and implementing an ordinance. After careful consideration, it is within our best interest to partner up with the proper parties for permitting, collection of short-term rental, and enforcement assistance. Once everything is in place, the CVB would spearhead a series of town hall meetings to bring awareness to the community and explain the proper protocols and procedures that should be followed as per the short-term rental ordinance. Any questions?
No, this is something we're definitely overdue for as a city.
I totally agree. Can you explain how the enforcement would be done through a third party?
Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're still analyzing that. We first wanted to see is this something that the City Commission would like to even implement? Because we came to the commission back in 2019, and that was something that at that point, we weren't sure of. And so the question is, do you all want to go in the direction? And also understand, we're not asking for stringent regulations either. We're just trying to we're just starting out. So maybe we just come with you with different ways of, we use a third party, I believe, to help us. Right now, we do collect hotel occupancy tax with hotels, and we do use a third party to do all those collections. Enforcement, we may do in-house. We still have to measure what would be the different alternatives with regard to enforcing that. And the question is, maybe we just start with, let's collect, see how that goes, and then the collections agency that helps us administer those funds would say, how much compliance we get, and then from there go to a second phase. But what we don't really want to go is from 0 to 100, and let's just take it in phases and pilot. This is a start while we identify what type, what's good for our community and how we tailor it to our community.
No, thank you so much. I agree with the commissioner. This is long overdue, and so I appreciate the staff's effort here.
And Mayor, I can say also, whenever property owners engage in portals like Airbnb or VRBO or things of that nature, those organizations, because of the way they're structured, they'll collect those fees for the state and for the municipalities. So we've got some tools that we can take advantage of there. Then, yeah, for those that do it on their own, something separate to look at.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's fair. I mean, if hotels are charged a tax, I think short-term rentals, which tailor to the same thing as providing some form of housing, then they need to be as well taxed. And we'll see what the outcome is and what the feedback is. And I look forward to seeing what else we can tailor to utilize that money for. The city does a great job in doing events, and so I hope that we can do events that the people want. I've heard people say, hey, we should do some football camps with an NFL football player, or bringing down a couple of cheerleading camps from different NFL cheerleading groups. And so those are different sectors that we can always tailor to. And there's also sports tourism. So making more to input more to make more I think is the goal here. So if you're looking for the reassurance and as for myself, I totally agree with this. I'm for it.
We also had talked previously about this possible funding would allow for bigger events, whether it's cultural, arts, athletic events. And so this fund, I think the city has always been very conservative with funding with regard to be able to fund those types of events. And so this gives us the bandwidth to be able to bring in people, and because there's supposed to be people from outside of the city limits, that's how it meets eligibility for funding. Then this could be a fund, if you want to adopt certain policies that say that would also be appropriate. We can bring that to you where we're looking at the next bigger projects, but you need to be able to recruit a concert series or something. Sometimes you do need between 150,000 to 200 per event, but that also brings heads and beds and people. And so that has its return on investment, but we've never really had that fund to do that. So, but through a policy, we can bring that to you all as well as how you would like to see the funds expended if we do that.
Absolutely, yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, Sombrero Festival, a night brings in about 26,000 people alone to the park, or would you say it's more? Yes? Okay, I thought it was pretty up there when they told me one of the Sombrero
60
Festival.
over the 3 days, so it's about 20 per day max.
Okay, so it's still, right? It's thousands of individuals coming in, and that's only one weekend, but I'm pretty positive that people want more of that. I know that you guys all just had the Space Festival, and the Space Festival was a huge success, and I feel like that is great data, and it proves as evidence that people want more events, they want more in the city. So if this is all for it, then let's give the people what they want.
I did have one question on the numbers that you presented, 500,000 to 2 million. Do you have a more accurate idea what it would be?
That is from a consulting firm. Those are the numbers from a consulting firm.
Okay, thank you.
And then the consultant firm provides us a monthly update, and we can share that with you in terms of how many short-term rentals we have. That's where the 500 number, if you go to the next slide, it speaks to 500 short-term rentals in the city. That does come from data, Commissioner, and we can provide you with that. It's an estimate depending on compliance and who starts applying, and always initially there's always going to be a ramp up. That's why we want to have meetings so that they're aware that they do have to comply, right? But we can provide that for you.
And the short-term rentals, remember, they vary. You can rent a house or you can rent it by the room. So that's why that number varies so much from the 500,000 to 2 million.
Thank you.
Next is a work session. Brownsville Metro proposed fare structure. Multimodal Transportation Department.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. We have a proposed new fare structure for next fiscal year. And so we developed some slides on the why are we here, what is the intent? And then we'll get to the new fare structure that we would like to get your feedback on. Over the last few years, our cost to operate has increased. And so in this slide, you will see from 2020, right before the pandemic, to our current fiscal year 24. And so every year we have increased from 6.1 to 6.4, 7.5, 8.5, and then 9.8. Thanks to the CARES funding that was awarded to Brownsville Metro back in 2020, we were able to use that funding to cover at least 18 months at no cost to the city while saving the grants that were there. And so these past few years, we've been able to use concurrent grants that are normally awarded to us yearly. We were able to use them to cover our current costs up to this fiscal year. We're now at a point that we no longer have that extra grants to cover multiple years, and so we now have the yearly allocation that we get from FTA, Federal Transit Administration.
I'd also say that we are the largest transit provider in the Rio Grande Valley. We provide service to about 1.2 million riders. Some of those riders do include students and university students as well. And those, they have specific discounts that are allotted to them that Joel will go through. But we also remember that the CARES funding this is during their COVID years. So nationwide, what you're seeing is a need for funding in transit. I think historically, we did meet with the FTA last week in DC, and we're seeing this across the nation, right? That CARES funding really allowed us to, during COVID, there was the amount of use went down like 60%. So only 40% of ridership. And that carried us through those years so that we would keep employing our bus drivers and keep operating as much as possible. However, nationwide, that funding is ending. And what we've been tasked with doing, and I've tasked the department, is talk to our transit committee that we have, and they went twice to go meet with them, and also start talking about how we can reduce that deficit down if at possible, right? And how do we compare with other cities and transit operators of our same size and also in the valley? So this is just kind of from that whole, I want to kind of give a precursor of how we got here. Particularly, we're in the middle of budget season, and we need to know where we are, because right now we are at $1 million deficit that we're looking at for next fiscal year, and that's the reality of transit nationwide. Thank you.
So on your right, you'll see the fiscal year cost per rider for the fixed route. It's about $3.63. It's now closer to $7.78. And then for paratransit, the ADA curb-to-curb service that used to be about $47.90, now closer to $54. And so really what has changed in the last few years, Metro implemented a route realignment. It made sense looking at the transit study that we had to implement it when ridership was low to make a few impacts in our community. 2021, we added Sunday service. This is the first time that the city has had Sunday service. Obviously, that came with a cost, and so currently it has cost about $688,000 per year. In fiscal year 22, we finally were able to remove from this COVID schedule. The COVID schedule that we had, we eliminated the last two routes on the trips, and so it ended at 5 p.m. And so we're now back at service. 2023 is when the city of Bronzeville with Bronzeville Metro implemented the compensation study, and so staff was able to get some raises. Our drivers are now at $15.50, and so that got implemented. And then fiscal year 24, the cost of living adjustment was added to there. And I do want to note also fuel alone, and personally, I know it has hit a lot of our community members, but fuel has gone up substantially. And so you'll see in 2020, just over $400,000 to what we budgeted this year is over $833,000. Our current projections, if we continue as is right now, bus fares will collect about $1.2 million. Miscellaneous revenues include our small leases that we have inside the terminal, the Coke machines, the AT&T, the ATM machines, et cetera. Our terminal revenues include Subway, Wingstop, the Greyhound, our bus commercial partners that we have there. And then lastly is our parking garage revenues, about $292,000. And then we do receive, the city of Bronzeville and the Bronzeville urbanized area does receive a yearly allocation from Federal Transit Administration. And so you'll see the breakdown here, about $2.1 million of 5307 grant that is required by a match from the city of the equal amount of $2.1 million. And then we do have a small grant of 5310. 5310 is the grant that is used for ADA. And so we have a position that is played through this grant. And so you'll see the split. And then lastly, we have TxDOT, which contributes about $550,000. Just to include into the revenues, we do include our fleet maintenance contract. It is the contract that we have that maintains the buses, does the preventive maintenance, and so that's about $1.7 million. So if we continue how we are now with the level of staffing, the number of service hours that we have, our routes, it equals to about $9.4 million. With our current revenue structure that we're proposing, we'll be short just shy of $1 million. And so the proposed fare in the next slides should equal about the additional $1 million in revenue that we are now in need. Our current fare structure is at $1 and has been at $1 for many, many, many years, close to 25 years, has not changed. Transfers are 25 cents, and then we do have a reduced fares for students, senior, individuals with disabilities, military, and then children under 6 are free. Currently, we also have passes. We have a day pass and a weekly pass. And then B Metro also offers a 20 ride, both for seniors, for students, and for disabilities. So in the proposed fare structure, we are asking to increasing the general fare to $2. We'll be eliminating the transfers. And then all fare structures for passes, if you qualify under student, senior, individual with disabilities, military, will be a 50% across the board of the fare. And then we'll be streamlining the passes, increasing the day pass to $3, the weekly pass of 7 days to 20. And then we'll create now a new monthly pass, 30-day pass to $60. So just to compare both in the RGV and in the region, South Texas, Valley Metro, who already operates out of from Harlingen to Brownsville, there is a route that does a connection here. Their current fare is $2. McAllen in McAllen Metro, they're still at the $1. Island Metro, the Wave, they're free. And then I also included Corpus Christi, which they're an RTA, a Regional Transit Authority, and so I want to make that clear that they do receive sales tax to subsidize their revenues. And then you have Laredo, El Metro also.
So just to note that some transit agencies and metro agencies across the state receive what we would call the Type B sales tax, so what we BCIC type of sales tax to subsidize some of their transit. For example, the city of Leander does that.
I had 2 questions, if I may. Thank you first of all, for the presentation. My first question is in regards to the discounts, specifically the student discounts. It is my impression that we used to have a contract before with the university and the college to where they provide these this money ahead of time and we give discounts to our students. Does that mean that we are covering that 50% discount ourselves?
So the current contract that we have is with UCHRGV. Their students ride in our system for free, and then we invoice them the normal fee to UCHRGV, and so they pay that on a monthly basis. Texas Alamos College, we also have a contract with them, and so they do provide a match to our funding, and so their students, faculty and staff also ride for free per the agreement. The students really that here is really more than any other else that's outside those 2 entities, BISD, public, or any other university.
Very good, thank you, sir. My second question was, I didn't see anything on here regarding advertising fees for your department. And I know that there's a lot of opportunities that we have both on the bus, at the shelters. That's the first part of the question. The second part is, it's also my understanding, if we collect money from advertising, it goes back to the general fund.
So we currently have a contract for advertisement. We're actually up for renewal this next fiscal year, and so we'll be releasing the request for proposals very soon, hopefully within the next month. That contract does stipulate what bus shelters, what buses, the locations, and so they provide a fee that equals to 100,000 or greater than 50% or 60% of the contract, and so whichever is greater. And so based on the revenues, which they submit quarterly, we'll charge them. Now, the fees that are collected based on the revenues through the advertisement has to come back to B Metro and to offset these operations.
Thank you.
The Metro is very strict because many, and the facilities that were built by FTA, so the parking garage, all that goes back to the FTA. The city does not get, it goes back to, not FTA, it goes back to transit. So the leases that you see, that we have some leases on restaurants in the Metro, that all goes back. And actually the FTA does review the leases to ensure that they're market rate as well. So it's very strict and very an enterprise that everything that goes in goes out. There are no transfers to the general fund. In fact, we
Where
support
was,
them.
and we see on there was pointed out where the revenues from tenants are listed. Where's revenue from advertising?
It's one of the slithers under miscellaneous revenue.
Okay. And does that include bus stops and on buses themselves when people are advertising?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say just transit agencies throughout the nation are all running a deficit or even having to cut or increase fees. We haven't increased fees since in 25 years. I don't know what comments you got from the Transit Advisory Board, but I think they were, so I don't want to put it, what did they say in terms about being supportive of the increase? Can you just talk to them?
Yeah, so we met with our Transit Advisory Committee. We took them in two separate meetings. They truly understand. I want to say we have a member here. I don't know if you want to say any words or if she's comfortable saying any words, but they understand. They do feel that how things has gone up, and then they truly see what we're trying to do. So I don't know, ma'am.
Yes, I think we agreed that, I mean, times have been, have changed, and I think this is a wonderful service that the city has. As a kid, I used to ride the bus, and so I haven't ridden it now, but my dad was an avid bus driver as well, and so, but it is something that we continue to have, and the cost of living has gone up. And again, we have to be able to provide for this service. And so, yes, we are in agreement that the fares should go up. My name is Cristina Villarreal.
Thank you so much.
Joel, my concern is, are these new proposed rates going far enough? Because with costs continuing to rise every year, this tells me that in 12 months, we're back in the red. And I don't think riders need to bear the full cost of the whole operation of transit, but as we already see, there's money coming from grants, from general fund, from the operating revenues. I'm worried that we're just gonna bring in enough with these new fares to get caught up to where we are today, and then we're back in the red the next fiscal year. And I don't know if that's the wise approach.
Commissioner, that's a really good observation. It's always a balance, right? Our most vulnerable that don't have vehicles, and cost of insurance and gasoline and maintenance, and this is what they rely on. What I would say is that part of the budget process, there are certain tenant spaces that are at B Metro that have not been leased out because they're not finished out. So I think that if we use one-time funding for, I think there's 3 spaces, so almost 6,000 square feet, I want to say más o menos, of leased space that's not leased because, the restaurateur or the retailer doesn't want to finish out. If we do maybe that one-time 6,000 square feet of costs, what we're tasked with doing is what additional revenue, the new advertising contract will come out. Let's do one-time costs and finish out those leased spaces. It's right on International, so it's right fronting a lot of traffic. What else are we doing with, the B Metro lease spaces in the parking garage, because we are using it for migrant influx. I would say migrant influx is paying the lease spaces, the cost of the lease there. So we are looking at, we can also see how this pans out in a year, or maybe look at it as a phased approach. Maybe not the first year do full cost of service, but maybe in year 2, possibly look at a certain, triggered increase maybe, because everything keeps going up, right? 5% we talked about with our capital recovery fee program, but maybe there's a certain percentage where it's not too much, but a certain percentage per year for the next couple of years is something that we can bring back as an option. So it's just bringing your feedback, and then we can see, maybe there's different options there. of also other revenues that can be generated? And also, could there be, every year and a half or 2 years, a possible 5% increase? And what would that mean?
Now that works. 'Cause yeah, and I am sympathetic to the fact that this is a vulnerable population, but I think the formula already considers that with all the other funding sources. The brunt of it is not on the writer, but I want to make sure they're contributing a fair share.
Commissioner and the rest of the commission and mayor, I will say though, concurrent to this, we're also analyzing our current routes, making sure they're running efficiently. I'll give you an example. Route 6 southmost, that one is the one that's used the less, and that one we have intervals of 30 minutes. And so how could we still keep the route, but maybe pull it back and it's maybe run every hour compared? And so those are the analysis we continue to do in-house to also save money internally. The second point I was going to make, July 8th, we are launching the Smart Card and Mobile Fare app. And so we're very hopeful, and we think that the new application and the ease of this new card will help us generate a little bit more revenue. Similar to the presentation, I talk about the monthly pass. It's something that doesn't exist right now. And so we feel strong about that monthly pass being the convenience of having that around. It's a tap and go or using your phone. And so the other item that we're looking at is how do we partner with our community partners? We have a lot of folks that use their buses and a lot of workers that get to the retail and the restaurants. And so we've seen other areas where they partner with HEBs or Whataburgers or churches. And so as an employee incentive, they will pay for these monthly passes for their employees. And so those are another avenue that we're looking at.
Thank you.
I have a quick question on the hybrid buses that we're using. Is that generating a savings for the city, or is that?
It is very minor. I mean, it's like a 2%. I mean, it's very, very, very minor. But do keep in mind, though, the hybrid buses that we currently have, we're paid through grants. And so right now, a lot of the grants are the low emissions or zero emissions for those vehicles.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate all that you guys are doing. Also, shout out to your social media people on your Facebook page. You guys have been updating information at a rapid pace, and I really appreciate that. So thank you for being so informative.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next item, presentations, Special Needs Advisory Board, Annual Report, Parks and Recreation Department.
Good evening. Distinguished members of the City Commission, Honorable Mayor, City Manager, staff, and fellow citizens. My name is Sergio Zarate, and I am the chairman of the Special Needs Advisory Board here in Brownsville. Behind me, I have a few of our members, my chairwoman, Ms. Norma Alvarez, and Ms. Maribel Leos. My colleagues and I are privileged and honored to serve on our city's SNAP board as we strive for an inclusive and welcoming community for all. It is imperative that we recognize and address the diverse needs of individuals with disabilities to ensure that the voices and concerns of our special needs community are heard and addressed. This board provides a platform for individuals with disabilities, their families, caregivers, and advocates to contribute valuable insights and recommendations on matters that directly impact their lives. Through a proactive measures and community engagement, we can foster a city environment that celebrates diversity and empowers every member of our community to thrive. We have a PowerPoint presentation here, but our members wanted me to let you know that we take this responsibility very seriously, that upon you putting us as an appointment on here. And we are ecstatic that we have a commission and a staff that respects those that came to this world of no fault of their own the way they did. So I'm going to get into the projects that are already addressed and put through. We have a door trash pickup service. I believe that last month, Ms. Ramirez, we put in for your consideration. The airport sunflower program was also kicked off. I believe a few of you were there, Mayor, and that is going to be a great addition to our airport and for our individuals to be able to land in their wherever they're going to go and then be received the same way that they left here. The special needs, the entrepreneur program for special needs, Ms. Maribel Leos had that. That was a BCIC and UTRGV program that gave opportunities for individuals with special needs on an entrepreneur level. The programs that we are in progress right now, we have an adaptive sports program that we're going to kick off in mid-July, and it'll be a one-year program where we offer 6 sports for individuals with special needs. Our disability needs assessment survey is being headed by Ms. Virginia Pina. It is to put out a survey to find out what exactly individuals in our city actually want. So it's easy for us 6 to come up with some ideas, but it's better that the community tell us exactly what is it that we are lacking and what we can address. Boo at the Zoo, this comes to mind 2 different entities that this is the 33rd year that Boo at the Zoo is going to happen. And for the first time, we're going to have an extra day for those individuals with special needs. Because the sensory, that's too many people at one time. I think even for a typical child, it's a lot of kids, but our kids don't seem to ever go there because there's just too many. So we worked with the zoo to do it on November 1st, the day after. So just something that we're very excited about and so glad that the zoo understood. We're also doing a program with the Camille Playhouse to where this summer in July, they're going to have a workshop and they're including more children with special needs and adults, and they're going to consider them for some of the 6, I guess, performances that they have during this year to be inclusive. So we're very thankful for that. We have a potential partnership with the Lions Club for their Texas Lions Camp, which Ms. Norma Alvarez was a part of when she was very little and now continues to be a board member that wants to open that up for our community. Just a heads up, July 26th is the 34th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So last year we celebrated it on the 33rd. So sometime that week we wanted to have a celebration. I know that there is the sports, Mr. Gard, you were mentioning the sports thing that you do, Games of Texas is in that same week, but we'll find a place to make sure that we can address that. And finally, thank you, City Commission. Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. You sent us Mr. Sean De Palma, and he's been nothing but very inclusive and very open to our board. And we appreciate you, sir. And, it's a breath of fresh air to see somebody that is willing to come to work and be inclusive of our special needs community. With that, I yield the floor. If you have any questions, I would be glad to answer.
Sergio, I want to thank you guys for your all's efforts. I know when I was running, ensuring that we're focused on the needs of the special needs community was a priority. Some of the other things I'd like to throw out to you guys, I know we see programs through our libraries as well, where they also have the different components for the special needs community. And we'd love to see more cross collaboration between the departments that have those types of elements so that we create some type of a database or even just a specific page on social media. So anyone out there, citizen or families and friends of citizens who have special needs know exactly where to go to find out what's going on in the city this week or this month that might be catered to the special needs community. I did have a citizen reach out to me with a couple of suggestions, one on housing and the other on transportation. And while we know our Metro department does a great job during the hours of operation, There's concerns about what about outside of those hours? And it shouldn't just be about for someone with special needs getting to the grocery store and getting to the doctor. It should also be about what they want to do for quality of life, whether it's go to the park, go to the library, go to the movies, whatever it might be. And there are models in other cities that I think we can look at, and I'd like to work with your all's board to look at those and see if you might think they might be a good fit for Brownsville and come back with recommendations on those to the commission.
We welcome that, sir. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you so
Don't-
much
don't-
for all that you do. I really appreciate you, Sergio, and the rest of the board appointees. It's been incredible as we've seen all the projects that you guys just did and all that are to come. Let's continue that momentum. I've just seen in our community the outpour of support. So thank you for educating us and making our families feel that they have a supportive system and a place where everybody belongs. So thank you for that. Continue to invite us. You know, we're always there. Whatever you guys need, please know that we're there as well. Thank you.
And I guess the only other thing is just when we talk about disabilities, a lot of people, I did mention they came to this world this way, but it doesn't just, it's not just for those kids. It is for the aging, it is for our veterans, it is for people like myself in the middle of my life, something happened that I had to recover from. So it really encompasses a lot of people more than the numbers that represent, I believe, between 16 and 18% of the city of Brownsville who have a special need of some sort. So it's a big number. It's autism continues to be on the rise, and we're happy to be here because we have a commission and a staff that supports those individuals, and it's easier for us to, rather than come and fight with you, we're here to work with you, and we know that you're very receptive to that. Thank you, Mayor.
And
One
we're
more
here to
thing.
fight alongside you too, okay? So.
Mr. Sarate, one more thing. I did reach out to our city manager a couple of months ago about a sidewalk. Have you all been able to take a look at that? I think I spoke to you, Mr. Sarate, about it as well.
Yes, our EPW staff did go review the sidewalks. I know they were able to fix some areas, but we are looking at a program where we add in this budget about adding money for gaps in sidewalks, or also for a cost share with the developer if they can't put it in. But we do need a lot more funding, sir, for gaps for sidewalks, so we can do it or do it in-house.
I do think that for the future, I mean, you have to hold the COs, no matter what. No more COs if you don't have your sidewalk. But the one that we went to see, which I took Ms. Ramirez, I believe he's somewhere in his 80s, and he's got his grandson who he takes care of, who's wheelchair bound. He's probably in his 30s.
Yes.
And just to get to the mailbox, he's got to come up and down the street. So, I mean, we've looked at it, and I really do hope we can consider some of this BCIC quality of life money to go to that, because that is quality of life for these people. So please take it down once again. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Sergio, to you and your board for really helping bring great projects to our special needs community, and like you said, for a lot of other groups as well, and know that you have our full support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next, consent agenda items.
Mayor, I'd like to pull item number 5 and number 10.
I'll motion to pull.
I'll make a motion to approve 1 through 4, 6 through 9, and 11 and 12.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comments? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Number 5, consideration and action on the adoption of resolution number 2024-067, adopting the Brownsville Animal Regulation and Care Center, BARC, Brownsville Animal Regulation and Care Advisory Committee bylaws, Department of Health, Wellness, and Animal Services.
I think on this one, we're going to table it. There's some changes that are being suggested, so I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Item number 10, consideration and action to approve a one-year agreement in the amount of $97,826.09 for professional scripting and support services for Excella land development and construction permitting software provided by Gray Quarter, Planning and Redevelopment Department.
I had a question regarding this item, specifically where it references a one-year agreement. I know that Acela is the new software for permitting for the department, and we continue to make investments in this to help us, right, with the permitting. But it was just, why the one-year agreement if we're continuing to invest in this? And then my second question, on the project scope, it specifically mentions the software throughout the city will ensure citizen engagement trends positively. I just want to make sure that the investments that we're making in the program are beneficial to the city and helping the department.
Sure, and the Acela platform is actually a platform that's shared not just in the planning department, it's actually the planning department and multiple departments, multiple agencies, and PUB. So we network with all those groups in order to advance a development permit through the approval process. Gray Quarter is a consultant that provides customization service. So if a particular department wants to have a permitting process that's customized to accelerate those permits, that's the service that Gray Quarter will provide. They'll also provide a help desk, so if any department member that uses Acela has a question or a problem with the program, they're able to call Gray Quarter, and Gray Quarter will have a queue of programming solutions for them that they'll work on.
I get that, and I know right now we probably have a lot of pain points starting up the software and it's new. I just was questioning that one-year agreement, if this was on purpose, for us to evaluate it after 1 year and say, do we still need this? Do we still want this?
Yeah, and I think that's why we're looking at the 1 year to see how much we use the help desk, because usually those help desks is because we get a special comment and rather than hire people that know Acela and Jorge Carlos
Commissioner,
to speak about that, you have someone, it's more efficient, you have a direct line versus trying to read some sort of training manual and figure it out. But I think it's also to just kind of test it and to test those services. I also would like to say that even the appraisal district now wants to be part of Acela and is asking for that. So it's really interesting to do kind of a one-stop shop, even online, with PUB being involved and now the appraisal district wanting to be involved as well.
Yeah, and again, the commission did approve a 5-year agreement with the Acela platform, so we have that budgeted and approved by the city commission. The help desk and the custom services, we're just doing that on an annual basis. I think.
Just to add up a little bit more onto that, the main reason is for 1 year that we recommended to the planning department is we have a team on staff right now that can do only so much. So we thinking that within the next year, we can get the team or more team members into the IT department to help and take over the load of the work that is required right now with the platform.
I understand. Thank you, guys.
Do we have a motion on this item?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Next are public hearings. Public hearing number 1, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2024-013-S to request a specific use permit in a commercial corridor CC zoning designation to allow an event center for lots 3 and 4, Los Ebanos Square Subdivision, Cameron County, Texas, located at 1036 East Los Ebanos Boulevard, Brownsville, Texas 78520, as shown in Exhibit A, District 3, Planning and Redevelopment Department.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners. Just to provide some background on this item. This item was presented back in April to the Commission. You requested for it to be sent back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for another review based on new information that was presented. So the request is a specific use permit. The current zoning for the property is commercial corridor, and the proposed use is an event center. The property is fronting East Los Ebanos Boulevard. And as mentioned, it was referred back to the Planning and Zoning Commission. We did get with our legal team, and apparently all the questions that were behind playing in the background were sorted out between the Architectural Review Committee and the applicant, and therefore we're presenting it again. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 21 mail-outs and 0 written opposition. This is the zoning map. As you can see, what predominates is commercial corridor. There's traditional neighborhood to the south. And Again, just the site plan of the proposed use, floor plan, and P and Z did recommend the approval for the specific use permit to allow the event center in the commercial corridor zoning designation.
I'm not sure. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a public hearing. I don't know if we want to do my questions now or after the public hearing.
I have a quick question while you think about that, Commissioner. Martin, it says that the Planning and Zoning Commission had some verbal opposition on the June meeting. What was that about?
Yes, there was one resident that was, or two residents that were concerned about noise. However, we did point out that for this type of use, they would be subject to self-mitigation.
So council, my questions are, one of the concerns was about not having been reviewed and approved by the architectural committee. And the documentation that's submitted to us now, it shows that those approvals came in 2022. So one, they should have had that for us already the last time we heard this. We shouldn't have been told they didn't have that approval yet. But my concern is that in 2022, if this hadn't been a conceived use yet, how did that architectural committee approve that? Because one of the things I see on their forms is description of proposed uses. So how do we know that their approval in 2022 was specific to an event center that's being proposed today? Because as I understand it, that these are different owners today than there were in 22. And she might be able to answer that behind you.
Martin.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. To answer your question,
Can you
there
please
was
state your
some-
name for the record, please, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Oh.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, yeah. My name is Raquel Avila, sister of the owner of this building. In 22, there was, well, many years ago, I think it was probably 30 years ago, that there was the group of owners for the land in this the space. They created the architectural committee. That committee was one of their responsibilities for this committee was to approve the design of a building. It was not a specific type of business. It was just the building, how the building looks like. And I think they were concerned about the quality of the construction or how the appearance of the building. So when this was approved, the members, it was different meetings with the members of the architectural committee, and they all approved the construction. At that time, they didn't know what the business type was going to be. Initially, it was planned for a playground. As that was not approved, the second option was the event center. I conducted a research of Brownsville areas and the event center, and it looks like one in that area will be a good opportunity for families who are planning events. In fact, since the building was finished, many people stopped by to ask if it's going to be an event center, when will be available, and it looks like people are interested. And when we had the last meeting where people were questioning the approval, we didn't have the copies without, and we knew that they were not going to believe that if we said we got the approval, they were going to ask for a copy. We didn't have a copy with us. Last time we did, and they were okay with it.
Good, thank you. And they didn't come back to protest today, correct?
I don't think so.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm so happy because this has been a project that has been extremely challenging for 3 years. So we will be very happy we leave today with the approval from. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no further questions or comments from the commission, I'll open this up to public hearing. If there's anyone here that wishes to address the commission on this item, please step forward.
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and second to close public hearing. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, public hearing now closed.
Did you have a question, Commissioner? I move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and second to approve. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Public hearing number 2, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2024-017 to rezone from residential single-family R1 to residential suburban R2 to allow a duplex for Lot 8, Block 3, Houston Estate Subdivision, Cameron County, Texas, located at 474 Lampasas Street, Brownsville, Texas, 78521, as shown in Exhibit A, District 2, Planning and Redevelopment Department.
So this request is to upzone from residential single family to residential suburban. The proposed use is a duplex. This property is fronting Lampasas Street. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 38 mailouts and 0 written opposition. This is a zoning map. What predominates is R1 within the area. However, if to the east of this particular section that's seen in the viewport of the map, there is a strip of lots that is zoned R2, and that all those lots accommodate duplexes. And so the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan. P&Z did recommend the approval to rezone from residential single family to residential suburban. And just to point out, it's 25 lots that are directly to the east that all have duplexes.
Are there any questions or comments from the commission? All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here that wishes to address the commission on this item, please step forward. State your name for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. Basilio Gomez, and I'm here on behalf of the owner. And we just like your consideration and approval of this rezoning.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Anyone else that wishes to address the commission?
I'll move to close the public hearing.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close public hearing. If there are no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Public hearing number 3, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2024-018 to rezone from residential single-family R1 to residential suburban R2 to allow a duplex for lots 3 and 4, Block 130, Olmito Original Town Site, Cameron County, Texas, located at 1965 Cortezville Road, Olmito, Texas, 78586, as shown in Exhibit A, District 3, Planning and Redevelopment Department.
So very similar to the previous petition. Once again, it's an upzone from residential single family to residential suburban. In this case, the applicant is rezoning 2 lots, lots 3 and 4. They are wanting to put a duplex on each lot. This property is fronting Cortezville Road. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 13 mailouts and 0 written opposition. This is the zoning map. There's residential single family, agriculture to the northwest, and regional center to the south. And P&Z did recommend the approval to rezone from residential single family to residential suburban. Any questions?
Any questions from the commission? No. All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here that wishes to address the commission on this item, please step forward.
I'll move to close.
Second. We have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Move to approve.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Mayor, I'm sorry, for the record, who seconded that item?
I can take the second.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Next item, public hearing number 4. Public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2024-019 to rezone from agricultural AG to light industrial LI to allow warehousing and logistics for 6.14 acres, more or less, out of an 11.46 acre tract, being the northwest portion of Share 18, Espiritu Santo Grant, Cameron County, Texas, located on U.S. Military Highway, Brownsville, Texas, 78520, as shown in Exhibit A, District 4, Planning and Redevelopment Department.
So this is a request to upzone from agriculture to light industrial. The proposed uses for warehousing and logistics. The applicant is actually expanding an existing business into this abutting property. As mentioned, the property is fronting U.S. Military Highway. This is the 200-foot buffer map. There were 34 mailouts and 0 written opposition. And as you can see directly to the southwest, there's an existing warehouse where the proposed use already operates. And as mentioned, they would like to expand the use in the future. This is the zoning map. To the north, there's residential single family. To the east and the west, commercial corridor, agriculture, and residential single family, as well as light industrial. PNZ did recommend the approval to rezone from agriculture to light industrial. Questions?
So I fully support what's being proposed here. I do have some concerns just based on what I read. This is right by where we're going to see the new international bridge, Florida de Mayo. And when we're looking at this, one, I expect we're going to see a lot more requests of this type because I don't think residential is going to be appropriate when you've got an international bridge moving forward. The other thing I saw in the packet was references that this is going to create significant or burdensome demands on public facilities such as water, wastewater, and transportation. And so that's not anything that's going to be specific to this item, but I think as a city, we need to make sure now that we know about Florida de Mayo, PUB and the city need to start thinking about and working on the infrastructure to make sure we're going to be able to deliver on the needs for whatever businesses are going to go out there in that corridor.
Right, and just to point out, when, for example, the Tractor Supply came in, they did do upgrades on the water line and on the sewer line. So they did, perhaps not foreseeing the bridge, but foreseeing future development, they did improve those two utilities.
Excellent, thank you. Those are the only concerns I had.
Any other comments or questions from the commission? All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here that wishes to address the commission on this item, please step forward.
I'll move to close.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Public hearing number 5, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2024-020 to rezone from residential estate RE to residential single-family R1 for 16.518 acres, residential transition R3 for 1.464 acres, and commercial corridor CC for 1.070 acres to allow single-family and multifamily development along with commercial business, all being a total of 19.275 acres comprised of 16.518 acres being a part or portion out of Lot 7 and all of Lot 8, re-subdivision of Lot 3, Block 109, El Jardín subdivision, and 2.75 acres out of Lot 3, Block 109, El Jardín subdivision, Cameron County, Texas, located at 6271 Boca Chica Boulevard, Brownsville, Texas, 78521, as shown in Exhibit A, District 2, Planning and Redevelopment Department.
So this is a request that will consist of multiple zoning designations. The current zoning district is residential estate, which basically allows single-family use, but in very large lots. Because they will, the applicant, the intent is to develop these 19 acres into single-family, multifamily, and commercial. They have to go through the rezoning process. And so as mentioned, they want to rezone to R1, R3 in commercial corridor. The proposed use is single-family, multifamily, and commercial business. And this property is fronting Boca Chica Boulevard. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 56 mailouts and 0 written opposition. And just to provide more context, the polygon that's in yellow would be the residential single family. The one in orange would be the multifamily, and the one in red would be the commercial use. This is a zoning map. What predominates is residential estate. There's residential single family to the northwest, commercial corridor to the southeast, and light industrial to the south. And once again, a map of the proposed layout. And P&Z did recommend the approval to rezone from agriculture to residential single family, residential transition, and commercial corridor. Any questions?
All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here that wishes to address the commission on this item, please step forward.
I'll move to close.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Public hearing number 6, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2024-902 to rezone from residential single family R1 to commercial corridor CC to allow a restaurant for Lot 8, Pomelo subdivision, Cameron County, Texas, located at 3 Pomelos Lane, Brownsville, Texas, 78526, as shown in Exhibit A, District 3, Planning and Redevelopment Department.
So this is a request to upzone from residential single family to commercial corridor. The proposed use is a restaurant. The property is fronting Pomelos Lane. And just to provide a little bit of reference, this corner is the corner of Alton Glore and Paredes Line Road, where the old Exxon gas station is located. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 17 mailouts and zero written opposition. We would like to mention that there was one neighbor who did present opposition verbally at the Planning and Zoning Commission, which they're the property owner directly to the north of the one that's being rezoned.
What was the nature of their opposition?
Well, because this is going to be a restaurant, their concern was related to noise, smells, traffic. This is the zoning map. What predominates in the area is commercial corridor. There is residential single family to the northeast, residential transition to the southeast. And to also provide some additional context, this property was actually rezoned to commercial back in 2017. However, when the UDC was adopted and drafted along with the map, it was downsized to residential, single family, based on the surrounding development and based on the fact that nothing had been done with the property. So we're bringing it back as a city-initiated case to put it before the commission to, in the attempt that the rights be restored. So the P&Z did recommend the approval to rezone from residential single family to commercial corridor.
On this one, the notes I had made for myself are right in alignment with the neighbors' concerns. I fully support the rezoning, but what I would suggest to the department is that as we look at the design and the layout, we make sure the dumpster is not in that northwest corner of the property, because then, yeah, those smells will be right in the backyards of both of those residences behind them. But if we do it, maybe something on the west side, like halfway up towards the back of the old gas station, that might protect the residents who are in closest proximity to them. Or if there's a way to put it even further up towards Alton Glore también.
Right, and so the restaurant that's being proposed, which is a McDonald's, is going to take up the entire corner where the Exxon gas station is at, plus where the residence is located currently. We did point out to the neighbor that residential adjacency requirements would be triggered because the commercial development is abutting residential. So whenever the site plan comes in for review, we would make sure that there's a masonry wall, that there's a 40-foot buffer, additional landscaping, and the waste container must be as far away as possible from that property line.
Excellent.
Is that part of the motion today that we have to?
No, that's by default.
All right, any further questions or comments? All right, this is the public hearing. If there's anyone here that wishes to address the commission on this item, please step forward. State your name.
All right, we'll share.
Good evening. Juan Pablo Cantu, on behalf of my parents, the neighbors, mayor, esteemed commission, thank you very much for the opportunity to discuss. I'll allow you guys to get the presentation. Very simple presentation. I understand I'm limited time. I just wanted to voice some of the concerns. Of course, in plain English, we protest this, and that's why we're here. A couple of things that, and in the slides or in my sheets, you'll see some of the pictures of the traffic. We do believe that is a big concern. The noise, I do understand that there's going to be what was told to us at the planning and zoning was 6 to 8 foot, and we're not sure which. I guess taller better and more sound deadening the better. The smell, and of course the trash can, the grease pit, the vermin that comes with that, possums, rats, raccoons, where are they going to go? They're going to go, and if we can see the picture here, they're going to go to green area to hide, and that would be the residential area or residential areas, including 9 Pomelos Lane where my parents live. Now, it was mentioned that trash bins are to be as far away as possible, and I just wondered how to quantify that or how that is going to be quantified, right? So if we look at the picture, far away from the houses as possible is in the front of the McDonald's. And I just wonder, I mean, I don't think they're going to put it there, and I just wonder where it might end up. The final point I want to bring up is the light pollution. And we'll see some slides here on my pages here, how close the residence 9 Pomelos is to this property, and how are we going to keep the light out? A 6 to 8 foot wall is not going to do that. If we go to the second page, the traffic issues, and I took various pictures. The picture on the left, I'm in the plaza just south of the property, and this is a rush hour afternoon, and we can see the traffic there. The picture on the right, I'm driving south from Paredes Line Road. Alton Gore would be to my left, right at that property, the Exxon. The Exxon is no longer being used. We can see some of the cars there at the intersection. The next page titled Traffic Issues. I am standing at 9 Pomelos Lane in the driveway looking south, and you can see how the traffic has gone past Pomelos Lane. And one of my major concerns is we're going to have a McDonald's, my understanding. This is a very popular restaurant. We're just going to increase the traffic in this area. And how is that going to be handled, I guess, is our major concern. Pomelos Lane measures 30 feet across. There's not enough for numerous lanes of traffic there. Ingress and egress. My parents are elderly. My dad has health issues. In the event of an emergency, what are we going to do? The next page, proximity issues. The picture there, I'm right at the property line, and you can see how close the house at 9 Pomelos Lane is to the fence of 3 Pomelos Lane. So that would be the property line. And we're talking 10 feet. I understand that there's a 40-foot offset, so we're going to be a matter of 50 feet away from a McDonald's. And my concern and my major point that I want to bring up, there is no way that the McDonald's does not encroach on the well-being of my parents. There's no way. The next page, proximity issues continued. Picture on the left, I'm in the backyard looking south, and that view will now be a McDonald's. 6 to 8 foot wall granted. And I'm also driving into the neighborhood. You can see a little bit of the structure, the 3 Pomelos Lane that will be destroyed, and then my parents' home in that picture there. And then the final page of my conclusions. Thank you for bearing with me, everybody. We already have traffic issues. I mentioned that, and I think you guys are aware of that. And what happens in a case of an emergency? Add restaurant traffic, kids running around the parking lot. I mean, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be headaches. My parents work hard for the home. And we've been there since the 80s. That's the home that I grew up in. So it changes everything. There's no way it doesn't make their life harder, more difficult. What's it going to do to the taxes? What about insurance? I'm all for progress, but pray tell anybody here who lived that close to McDonald's. Okay, I understand that there were mail-outs in 2017 or 2018 that said that these things were going to happen. We didn't see one. We would have protested then as well. One family against McDonald's. What can we do?
No, but keep in mind that 2017, what happened is it went from commercial to residential. It didn't get upgraded to commercial.
I can assure you that had we known prior to it being made commercial, we would have been here. Every time that a lot in that neighborhood, and this is the third time that a lot in that neighborhood has went into zone commercial, we have been here. We were not informed of that. We were surprised to hear.
That it was made residential?
No, that it was made commercial. And then it went back to residential because of lack of use.
And I don't think, do we know the year it was made commercial?
It was made commercial in 2017, and it went back to residential in 2020 with the adoption of the code.
Okay, I misunderstood you then.
And in the transition from residential to commercial, we were unaware of that. I understand that there were mail-outs as well. We did not get a mail-out. We would have been perhaps the only protest, but we would have protested. And the people who were surveyed, the people who responded, they're none of our neighbors. They're going to enjoy the McDonald's. They're not going to live next to it. And those are my concerns. I appreciate the time. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Sanchez, to your right, Michael.
My name is Dennis Sanchez. I'm here on behalf of the landowner. We do recognize that Brownsville is growing a lot. There's a lot of traffic, and it can't be helped by anybody. It's a fact of life. The landowner met with the Planning and Zoning Commission or the department to go over with the representatives from McDonald's as to what is going to be required in order to fit and comply with city requirements of construction there, including the buffer zones, the walls, and all of that. To go back to the issue of when the property was acquired, there was an application made to make it commercial, which was granted in June of 2017. And then, of course, COVID hit, and when the UDC was adopted, everything flipped back to being residential. But that doesn't change the fact that the corner is commercial. And you can either have a nice McDonald's that's going to be fully compliant with building regulations, or you may have a smaller residential, a smaller commercial activity, which could be more disruptive. I don't know. That's speculation, but you don't know what you're getting if you only have a smaller commercial tract as opposed to a larger one. So in that respect, all we can commit is that we will comply with the city's building regulations and current ordinances, and hope that ameliorates all of the problems that may exist. In response to the issue about when it was changed back from commercial to residential in 2020, again, there was an issue as to whether or not there was notice even given to us as a landowner when it flipped back to residential, because I don't think under the UDC any notice was given because of some legal position of the city. So with that, we're requesting that it be approved.
I do have a question. Is it the intention to have an entrance off Pomelos Lane going into McDonald's?
I don't believe so. They haven't submitted a final plan, but I do not believe that it will be through Pomelos.
Luckily, we've got Paredes and Altenglor for ingress and egress, and I think that would be, or should be, possibly one of our conditions. And I respect the concerns of the neighbors, and that's why, like I said, I had made those same notes before I had even heard about the opposition. It makes me, it places me a little bit more at ease, though, when I hear the name McDonald's, only because when I think about dumpsters that I see around town for commercial establishments, some of the worst are not necessarily the big chains. And I know McDonald's tends to have a very high standard for their operators that they have to adhere to. It could be worse. And I think in working with the department, we've got the opportunity to make sure we place dumpsters and things like that as far away from the residential properties as possible. But I also think the likelihood of any types of rodents or things being attracted because of the dumpster, I really think that's lessened with an operator like McDonald's, because they're very responsible from a corporate citizen perspective. And considering that the corner is already commercial, there's nothing preventing somebody from doing something like that today already, right next to your parents' property and the neighboring property. But rezoning this lot creates the opportunity and the latitude to ensure it's done in a more responsible manner than in a way that's going to have a greater negative impact on the neighboring properties. That's why I'm inclined to support it with the high standards in place that the department can enforce.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the commission on this item?
Move to close public hearing.
All
I'll
right,
second.
we have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Move to approve.
All right, we have a motion.
Are we good? I'm willing to second if we put in the restrictions of no ingress or egress on Pomelos Lane. And then all of the other standards we talked about with the dumpster being as far from the residential property as possible. Are we okay to do that with the rezoning, Counselor?
I mean, it's not a specific use permit, so you can't really add conditions to it.
Okay.
The only conditions that we would be able to add would be for those that are applicable to already under the UDC.
Under the UDC, can a commercial establishment create an exit or an entrance onto the residential road as it reads today?
Commissioner, we may not be able to condition the case, but with the representative here, if it's communicated that you do not want access to the residential street during the site plan process, we'll review it in that manner, but we're assuming that they're in agreement with that type of understanding.
Very good. That being the case, I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Not all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it, motion carries.
Public hearing number 7. Public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2024-903 to rezone from light industrial to residential suburban R2 to allow a duplex development for track 1, being an approximate 25.67 acres out of block 133, El Jardín subdivision, shares 19 and 27, Espiritu Santo Grant, Cameron County, Texas, located on JCS Industrial Drive, Brownsville, Texas, 78526, as shown in Exhibit A, District 2, Planning and Redevelopment Department.
So this is a city-initiated case. It's once again being presented due to an error of in the manner that was depicted originally. So it's being presented exactly the same way that it was done originally back in February. The current zoning of the property was light industrial. The request to rezone is to residential suburban. The proposed use is for a duplex development, and the property is fronting JCS Industrial Drive. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 13 mailouts and 0 written opposition. And I'm just going to fast forward to this map that has the explanation. Back in February, the map that was depicted during the zoning change was the entire boundary shown in red. However, the correct boundary is basically excluding the polygon that is in blue. So the acreage remains the same. It's still 25.67 acres out of a 29-acre tract. However, as mentioned, the way it was represented graphically on the maps, it wasn't done correctly. And so this is the zoning map. There's light industrial in the area, residential single family to the north, residential transition to the south, and commercial corridor. And P&Z to recommend the approval to rezone from the light industrial to residential suburban under this new boundary.
Questions from the commission? All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here that wishes to address the commission on this item, please step forward.
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Items
Thank
for individual consideration. Action item number 1, consideration and action to discuss and approve resolution number 2024-064, authorizing publication and posting of notice of intention to issue certificates of obligation to finance certain capital improvements. Financial Services Department.
Mayor and Commissioners, Alan Gard, Deputy City Manager. The city is looking at selling certificates of obligation for FY 2024 to move forward certain projects related to parks, parks, land and equipment, city hall renovation, paving equipment, and matches for FTA grants related to B Metro operations. The total of closing costs and fees would bring the total not to exceed $25 million. Dave Gordon from Estrada Hinojosa is here, and Jay Juarez, our bond counsel, are here. If you would have any questions. The next item is related to this. It's a resolution where if we have any expenses related to this bond sale before we sell them, this gives us the authorization to reimburse ourselves from those bond proceeds.
Any questions or comments from the commission? Entertain a motion on item 1.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
And the second resolution allows us to reimburse ourselves for any expenses related to these projects that we make before we receive the bond proceeds.
And just for the record, it's consideration and action to discuss and approve resolution number 2024-063, expressing official intent to reimburse with tax-exempt obligation proceeds costs associated with certain capital improvements.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Next is board appointments. Action item number 1, consideration and action on resolution number 2024-056 to appoint, reappoint, and/or remove one member to the Transit Advisory Committee, Multimodal Transportation Department.
Well, I know this is my appointment. My candidate denied my nomination, so I have to go back and look for someone else. I'll respectfully ask the table, please.
Thank
I'll
you,
move to
Commissioner.
table.
Action item number 2, consideration and action to amend resolution number 2024-052 to appoint, reappoint, and/or remove one member to the Ethics Advisory Commission. Mayor, Commissioners, this appointment is for Commissioner Gowen. She's asked for us to hold it for the next meeting.
Move to table.
Second.
Motion and a second to table. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I'm sorry, Mayor, did I miss that? Did we not make a motion on item number 1 for board appointments?
I think we took no action, but
I think I tabled and that's,
we have to go back and table. Official,
It's not necessary.
okay.
Yeah, no, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
no action.
Action item number 3, consideration and action on resolution number 2024-053B to appoint, reappoint, and/or remove one ETJ representative member to the Capital Improvement Advisory Committee, Kayak Multimodal Transportation Department.
We're going to carry it over again. I've got 3 community leaders I've reached out to. They're all telling me they'll get me a name of someone in the ETJ, and I thought I'd have one by now, and I still don't.
Okay, thank you.
Next meeting for sure.
Action item number 4, consideration and action on resolution number 2024-069 to remove members of any board or commission who have failed to file, submit a personal financial statement report pending as required by Chapter 38 Ethics Ordinance. For this one, Mayor, Commissioners, we do have the personal financial statements that are required per Chapter 38. The Ethics Ordinance, especially Article 6, Section 38-156. There are certain members that need to file the personal financial statements by April 30th by 5 p.m. So that includes some members of city management, city attorney, city auditor, also members of GBIC, BCIC, BPUB, Planning and Zoning, Building and Standards, and Boards of Adjustment. So we did reach out with reminders, and also for those that hadn't submit, we sent a certified letter. And there were 2 that we have not received on file. So failure to timely file a report is a violation of Chapter 38. And there's a resolution that was drafted here to present for the removal by the City Commission of any board commission members who have failed to file or submit a PFS. So there's one member from BCIC that we don't have on file yet, Soraima Diaz, and one member from Planning and Zoning that also the City Secretary's office does not have on file, which is Eliseo Davila. Who from BCIC? Soraima Diaz?
I reached out to Ms. Diaz, and she said she was going to file it. She's committed to filing it, so I expect her to do that.
And I know I reached out to mine who was delinquent when we considered this, and I know he filed in
Yes.
person today.
We did
To
receive.
make sure you met the
one-
deadline.
Yes, so we did receive one today. It was 3 originally, down to.
Mr. Davila is actually ready to be removed or wait till his term is up, which is, I believe he said July 2nd. So whatever you all want to do.
So I'll move to approve. I'll move to approve Resolution 2024-069.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
And if I could add to that, Mayor, or council, I'd like you guys to look at Chapter 38 as it reads today. Because I think as a commission, what we'd like to see is if this gets violated in the future, that it's an automatic vacancy, just like with absences, that it doesn't require action from us. I know we weren't sure whether or not that's the case today, and that's why we pushed for this item. But I think in the future, since we know what our law says, and I don't think it has to be April 30th, but I think if we're talking about like a 30-day grace period, whatever it might be, if they don't meet a certain deadline, then it should be declared an automatic vacancy, whether they're a carryover or not, and then just the vacancy coming to the commission, but not necessarily an action to remove in the future.
No, duly noted, and we will take it to the Ethics Commission for their.
Thank you.
And
initial
just
thoughts.
for clarification on this item, so the approval on the resolution, does that mean that it's the removal of both members that were
Those,
mentioned?
anyone who does not have their report on file today is now removed.
Thank you. Next item, executive sessions.
You have Commissioner Gowan requesting that the second executive session, we start with that one versus the first one, since she's on her way.
Yes, so it is 6:55. Mayor, would you like to make a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I do have one comment. I am not going to participate in item 1, as I have a conflict.
Also, we're asking for tabling of item 3 and 4.
Correct.
It's not quite ready yet.
We are going to start with 2. With the,
Well,
Yes, we're asking to start with 2, the airport item.
Let's talk about 3 and 4 then in the back, because I'm still going to want some kind of an explanation rather than just saying we're going to table out here.
all right, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Okay, for the record, the first item under executive session, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney related to public funds depository services, Office of the City Attorney. Executive session number 2, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, including pending litigation and/or settlement offer related to airport leases and Mirage Aviation versus City of Brownsville. Item number 3, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, real property deliberation, and 551.087, economic development deliberation related to Project Picasso, Office of the City Attorney, City Manager's Office. Item number 4, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, real property deliberation, and 551.087, economic development deliberation related to Project Refresh, Office of the City Attorney, City Manager's Office.
Yep. Yes.
Okay, Mayor, it is now 8:05. Would you like to reconvene with the regular session?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Possible action on any items as discussed in executive session. Action item number 1, consideration and action to approve a contract for depository services for up to 5 years with one of the following banks, listed in alphabetical order: Lone Star National Bank, Plains Capital Bank, PNC Bank, Texas Regional Bank, and/or Wells Fargo Bank, and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute the contract. Financial Services Department.
As I have a conflict, I'm going to abstain from this matter. I'm going to step out.
Thank you. Yes.
All right, I'll take over.
We would like to just confirm if Commissioner Gowan is on virtually. She,
Very good. And I'll take over as Mayor Pro Tem for the mayor. On item 1, I will entertain a motion to approve a contract for depository services for up to 5 years with PNC Bank and Lone Star National Bank, with the details to be worked out by the city manager, and also authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute those contracts.
In my understanding is that Commissioner Gowan would like to be part of this vote.
Is she on? Okay. Is there a motion? I entertain.
So moved.
Is there a second?
second.
There is a motion and a second. We'll wait to confirm if we have Commissioner Gowan before taking the vote. Yep.
Hello, Commissioner. Were you able to log in? FaceTime.
Oh.
So we're good? I can hear her. You actually put her by your microphone. And make sure your mic's on.
Yes.
All right. There is a motion and a second. Rose, since you're just joining, there's a motion and a second to approve a contract for depository services for up to 5 years with PNC Bank and Lone Star National Bank, and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute in terms of those contracts. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Next item is adjournment.
So moved.
There is a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
I was going to say we can stay.
And then just to, for the record, for the other items, there were no,
No action on 2 and 3. Any objection to the motion? Motion carries. Time is 8:09 PM. There, now it's official.